I'll let you know when you're live.
Mangalacharna 2.
Okay, I'll get started on that. I'll just switch off the music here. I'm bringing up Mangalacharan prayers. And we are broadcasting Ram Maharaj.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Adadhanastridam dantar idam yache puna puna Srimad Rupa Padam Boja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shah Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Shri Varshabhana Videvi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Pravave Namaha Madhuryo Jwala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Padambu Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sakchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Viravava Bhomes Twang Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannatayati Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tushe Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvaswa Padambo Jau Radha Madana Mohanao Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadramada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanastao Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devao Prishtali Bi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasaram Bhivam Shiva Tatatastita Karshan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha 18 Thakur Goreake Karyachina Atmasar 18 Erasharan Vandon Tine Murnaz Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindayai Tulsi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Shri Nishinga Jai Nishinga Jai Jai Nishinga Prahlada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Bhutanam Dharmasya Tadatmanam Srajamyaham Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam Dharma Samstapanartaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge Manmana Pavamad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mami Vaishyasi Yuktvaivam Atmana Parayanaha Sarvadharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvang Sarvapapibhyo Mukshayishami Mashacha Shushrusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantaksto Hibhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschaye Chaitaiter Anavhidham Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grantish Chijante Sarva Samshaya Shiyante Chasya Karmani Drishtaeva Manishvare Malihai Kareshe Bijarupan Shravana Kirtana Jali Kareshe Chan Tahan Vistarita Hoy Pali Prema Pal Ihan Mali Sheche Nitya Shravanari Jal Vairagya Vijanija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharta Meka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Budir Yastamaham Prapadye Kalan Nashtan Bhakti Yogam Nijam Dya Pradus Kartum Krishna Chaitanya Nama Avirbhutas Tasya Padara Vinde Gadam Gadam Liyatam Chitta Bringa Matsamo Nasti Papatma Naparadi Chikashchana Parihare Pilajja Me Kimbruve Purushottama Yuvatinam yata yuni yunam cha yuvatau yata mano piramate tadvan mano me ramatam tvayi Bhumau skalita padanam bhumiri bhavalambanam tvayi jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabho Govinda Balabhe Radhe Partaye Tvamahang Sada Twadiyam Ichijanatu Govindo Mam Toya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadishe Karunamriktavahani Kripaya Nijapadabja Dasyam Mayam Pradiyatam Namashishtam Manamapi Sachiputram Matra Swarupam Shri Rupam Tasyagrajam Urupurim Matarim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasa Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurun Tam Natosmi He Guru Gyanadadina Bando Swananda Data Kurunaika Sindo Vrindavanasi Nahita Avatar Prasida Radha Pranay Prachara He Dinabando Karunaika Sindo Kuru Prasadam Maimanda Budhe Laksha Parade Bahupapa Ghade Tatpada Padme Stu Matishcha Krishne Adadana Stridam Dante Hidam Jate Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambo Jao Tuli Sam Janma Janmani's got it in there twice.
I'll fix it.
Astrinam Padarinam Abhikshnasha Yasam Harigato Gitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam Ajanulambita Bujo Kanakavadato Samkirtanai Kapitoro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Twijavaro Dugadharma Palo Vande Jagapriyakaro Karunavataro Hantaya Madhura Balahari Savaryo Yadrama Krishna Charanashvarasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayostayo Yat Haniya Suyavasakanda Nakanda Mulai Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol. My obeisances to His, I offer my humble obeisances thousands and millions of times to the lotus feet of His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to all of you, because you are Vaishnavas and therefore the most worshipable in the three worlds. Hare Krishna. Tonight we'll read from the Bhagavad-gita, and we're at chapter 6, and starting up at text number 29.
I'm bringing it up, Maharaj. I'll be sharing it with you shortly.
Thank you. While you're waiting.
Haha, this is so beautiful.
Radha Govinda, Japan.
Wow.
Okay, text number 29 says, Sarva Bhutastamatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Purport. A Krishna conscious yogi is the perfect seer because he sees Krishna, the Supreme, situated in everyone's heart as Supersoul, Paramatma. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshara Tishtati. The Lord in his Paramatma feature is situated within both the heart of the dog and that of the Brahmana. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. That is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but he is not present in all hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the supersoul. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. In the Smriti, this is confirmed as follows. Atatat vach cha matrit vach cha atma hi paramo hari. The Lord, being the source of all beings, is like the mother and the maintainer. As the mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the Supreme Father or Mother is also. Consequently, the Supersoul is always in every living being. Outwardly, also, every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. As will be explained in the 7th chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, the spiritual or superior, and the material or inferior. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in him in one way or another. The yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations according to the results of fruit of work, in all circumstances remain the servants of God. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses, and while in the spiritual energy, he serves the spiritual energy. He serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Krishna consciousness. So the word sarva bhuta stam, situated in all beings, atmanam, the supersoul. So the one of the visions of the person situated in yoga, in consciousness of Krishna, is that Krishna is she sees that the super soul is there within the heart of every living being. So this is the true test of knowledge. Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane Gavihastani, Shuni Chaiva Shupake Cha, Pandita Samadarshina. The test of a person's knowledge or being a pundit is that he or she has this vision that the soul and the super soul are present within every living being. Just the external body is different. Sarva, Bhutani, and all living entities. Atmani, Cha, Atmani, in the self. Ikshati, Ikshate, he does see. Yoga Yukta Atma, one who is dovetailed in Krishna consciousness. Sarvatra, everywhere, Samadarshina. So the true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So the Prabhupada mentions here that the living entity is situated either in the material energy or the spiritual energy. And in this material energy, it's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we're in a trance-like state. So Srimad Bhagavatam tells of various levels of consciousness, material consciousness. There's awakened consciousness, or that is consciousness when the soul in the body is aware of the external circumstances in his or her life and is interacting with them. And then there's sleeping. And in sleep, there's sleep with dreams and sleep without dreams. The mode of being awake is actually a kind of trance-like situation because the living being is absorbed in matter. When he has not developed the consciousness of God and the living entity, then he's in a kind of trance. Krishna describes in the second chapter of the Gita, Dhyayato Vishayam Pumsam Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kama, Kamat Krodo Vijayate. There's a way in which I'm looking out externally at the world and I'm observing the sense objects, and then I'm becoming enamored of them. And because of that, they pull me in and I become attached to them. And that attachment is a kind of entrancement, called abhinibheshata, or absorption in matter. And because of that, I'm not actually able to see my true nature, which is above the senses, above the mind, and above the intellect. Now, interestingly, and this is something that's easily understood logically, that which is more subtle, a more subtle entity can understand a grosser entity, but not vice versa. For instance, the senses can't see the mind, and the mind can't see the intellect, and the intellect can't see the soul, because each one is progressively more subtle, and the grosser cannot see the more subtle. And of course, the living entity is the most subtle, because as Krishna describes to Arjuna at the beginning of chapter 2, the soul is categorically different from matter and doesn't die. It doesn't become diminished at any time by any material circumstance. It's not chedyo yama dhyayo yama kledyo shosha evacha nitya sarvakatastanur achalom yam sanatanaha. It's eternal. It can't be burned. It can't be dried. It can't be moistened. And it never dies. It only transmigrates from one body to the next. And the living entity, however, becomes, due to its smallness, becomes enamored of matter by looking at it and considering it to be a source of enjoyment. And then goes into a kind of a trance-like situation and becomes absorbed either in the awakened state or in the sleeping state with dreams, or when he goes into a deep sleep without dreams. Meanwhile, all this is taking place. This means the life of the living entity is taking place within the mind, on the surface of the mind. In other words, the soul within the body is absorbed in watching the images that are as if projected onto the screen of the mind. And then takes that to be his life. So in enlightened consciousness, when the yogi becomes aware of his own self and sees that I'm separate from the mind, I'm separate from the intellect, and also becomes acutely aware that I'm not the ultimate. There's a source of my life, that I'm being maintained by a super spirit. And in that state, the living entity becomes entranced in the soul, in his own self. And also, as he turns his attention towards the super spirit or the super soul, he becomes entranced by the super soul. Either way, he's entranced. It's the nature of the living entity to be in some kind of a trance. So the material trance is kind of like a nightmare for the soul because it's incompatible with the situation in the material world. And it's developed over a long period of time by association with the modes of material nature. The material nature starts in a nondescript way as prakriti, and then when it's agitated by the three modes of material nature, time and karma, it takes distinctive shapes. But as Krishna describes in the Bhagavad-gita, it's all a product of, it's all coming from the same wellspring of energy, which is the lower energy. And then it takes various shapes and so forth. And by my association with the three modes of material nature, I become conditioned by them. And Krishna then says in the Bhagavad-gita, Daivahi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. That he describes even the lower energy as divine because it's coming from him. And it's difficult to overcome. It's also difficult to be involved with, as we're experiencing right now. There are constant changes going on in the material energy, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami that these harass the living entity who takes on a material body in the form of adhyatmic, adhibautic, and adhidaivik miseries. These are the kleshas. And really these klesha, adhyatmic means from one's own mind and body. One experiences miseries. Adhidaivik from the devas or from natural movements of the world, the way the weather changes, where there's natural disasters and so forth. And adhibautic, other living entities, apparently for no reason attack us and occupy our bodies and so forth. And these are always going on constantly. So it's difficult, Krishna says. Daivahi eshu gunamayi mama maya duratyaya means a very difficult situation for the living entity. Elsewhere, Krishna describes Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manakshashtan Indriyani Prakriti Stani Karshati. That means that that the living entity who's spiritual is grappling very hard with the material senses and the mind, all the material senses which is headed by the mind. So there it is. The mind is the repository of all the impulses that come in through the senses. And then they agitate the mind, those modes, especially the lower modes of rajas and tamas. And when one's mind is conditioned by rajas and by tamas, then it's impossible to see one's real nature. In ignorance, one is simply downtrodden. It's very difficult to do anything, and it's only suffering. In rajas, there's a sense that I'm doing something, but I'm never fulfilled. I'm constantly running after the next desire, and whatever I get, it's not enough. But only from sattva can one have a sense that I'm something beyond the material body. I actually have an existence that's eternal, that it's real. And Krishna says, even from that mode of sattva, one can become conditioned by a sense that I'm better than others, that I'm happy, and so forth. And then, of course, there's a transcendental consciousness, which is affected by or attained by acting in Krishna consciousness. And Krishna describes in the Gita, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kopate. When one engages in devotional service, he or she can rise above these modes of material nature and come to the level of Brahman and see oneself. This is a powerful understanding to know oneself. And the mistake that conditioned living beings make is thinking that I am my body. But Mahaprabhu comes out and says, Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaisho nashudro naham varni nacha gripatir no vanasto yatova kintu prapurya das anudasaha. Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaisho nashudro naham varni nacha gripatir no vanasto yatirva kintu prodyan nikila paramananda purnamritab der gopi bartu parakamalayor das anudasaha. So he says, what is my identification? I have nothing to do with the material body. And then he names, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a Brahmachari, I'm not a Grahasta, Sannyasi. I'm none of these things. I'm actually the eternal servant of the servant of Krishna, who's the lover of the gopis. And most people conditioned by the modes of material nature identify one way or another with the body or the mind, and therefore they suffer. So Krishna consciousness means to develop wisdom samskars. The samskars that we've accumulated over many, many lifetimes, the impressions on our mind and the way we've become entranced by them, keep me fixed in this bodily conception of life. And then Krishna says, this is what causes samsara. I leave the body absorbed in matter, abhinibheshita, thinking that I'm the body. One of the great obstacles to yoga is clinging to the body. And sometimes when people are leaving this world, or leaving their material body, and they cling to it. They don't want to let it go. It's a very difficult thing to let go of, unless one's become practiced in Krishna consciousness. And it's very difficult to watch somebody leave their body if you're attached to them also, because where are they going and what's going on? But Krishna says, if you know the science of Krishna consciousness and you've seen it for yourself, that you're not your body, this is not a traumatic experience. There's a way in which one sees what's actually going on. Ukramantam stitam vapi brunjanam va gunam vitam vimudanana pashyanti jnana chakshusa. If you have knowledge, then you see pashyanti, you can understand what's happening. And if you don't, vimudanana pashyanti, if you're foolish, if you haven't cultured Krishna consciousness, cultivated Krishna consciousness, then you can't see anything at all. You die like an animal. And then you take a rebirth, because whatever we're attracted to when we leave this body, material nature accommodates. Shariram yaravapnoti yachat yukramatishvara grihit vaitani samyati vayuragandam vivashayat. We get a nose and we get an eye and we get all the external senses according to what we're attracted to and what we're attached to and what we're entranced by. So these wisdom samskars mean that we have to read the Bhagavad-gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam and the other scriptures. By reading them, this is called swadhyaya. It means that we actually put in wisdom samskars. And according to Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, there's a way in which what are called the klishta samskars, or the samskars that cause us misery and attachment to the material world, they're actually overwritten, is that in computer language. They're overwritten by these more virtuous samskars that come from hearing Shastra. Another way in which he describes, does Patanjali, that one overcomes the samskars of the mind that force us into bad habits is by practicing self-control. Of course, which starts first, the chicken or the egg, but he points out that even a little bit of self-control or tapas applied in one's life can be very effective at bringing sattva into the mind and intelligence. It becomes illuminated. And this samskar is very encouraging because, as he points out, and actually it's in Vyasadev's the commentary to this Yoga Sutra, he points out that each time that you control your senses, according to Krishna's instructions, it creates a new samskar, an impression in your mind. Wow, I just did that for Krishna. And you become enlivened by it. And he said, even the tiniest of application of this, even if you have a river of klishta samskars or unlimited samskars that make misery for you by being attached to the material world, if you add a little bit of this samskar where you're acting on Krishna's order, you're following his order, as Krishna says in the Gita, ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti madhava. Just follow my order, then you'll feel happy. Because as Prabhupada points out, we have to follow some dictate. It's our nature. We have to follow a dictate. You see that people always gravitate towards somebody. You know, I noticed it in my parents. They were professors. They all had their mentors in philosophy and at the university. They had to I always noticed they followed a certain person. We're behind this person. And then you look in the world of politics, everyone has to line up somewhere to follow some dictation. And therefore, if one follows Krishna's dictation, one then is acting rightly. And by the very act of doing that, one develops these very powerful wisdom samskars, and that they actually suppress the samskars or the impressions in our mind that cause us misery. As one author, a devotee author, wrote, he said they're like Terminator samskars. They go after the other ones and annihilate them. So you can help yourself. So just a couple more points before we take some reflections, but it's important also, according to Rupa Goswami and other Vaishnava authors, that we're careful about tapas. We don't want to overdo it. Some yogis, of course, we know the history in India. I mean, in Vrindavan, I remember in the old days, when we go on Vrindavan Parikram, there was this yogi, I mean, some kind of yogi. He was doing this austerity of standing up, and he never sat down. Of course, he cheated a little bit because he had a swing and he was leaning on it. But, you know, he was there for years, just standing in one place. And his legs became very swollen and everything like that. But that was his austerity. And, you know, Hiranyakashipu, he stood on his tippy toes and he put his hands in the air and he didn't, you know, put them down for tens of thousands of years to perform austerity. So austerities that are performed to harm the bodily organs, Krishna says these are not good. They're in the lower modes of nature. But we must perform some tapasya. Otherwise, why does Rishabhadeva say tapo divyam bhutarka yena sattvam? He says nayama. He says don't act like animals. They have no self-control whatsoever, but tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shudyad yasmad brahma saukyam twanantam. Nayam deho deha bhajan riloke kashtan kamam arahate vidbujamya. He said, there are all kinds of animals and they just do whatever they want. Don't be like them. But perform some tapo divyam, some divine austerity. So these are more gentle austerities. They're not these kind that damage us. They don't push us beyond our limits. Because even as Krishna points out to Uddhava, if somebody, yogis, perform austerities that are too severe, then the senses will rebel and they'll come back asking for more later. You'll have to pay the price. So we perform bhakti tapasya through devotion to Krishna. If we follow his instruction, we hear his instructions through the Bhagavad-gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then in the course of expressing our devotion to him, like working for Krishna, that's a kind of tapasya. You work for Krishna, give some of your money for Krishna, or you listen to Krishna. That takes an austerity of the ears, because as Prahlad says, the ears just want to hear the radio. They want to hear CNN, or they want to hear some kind of music, pop music, or as Prabhupada writes in the translation in the 7th canto, cinema songs. But it's a very gentle tapasya, but if you just redirect your hearing process to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad-gita, this is the best kind of tapasya. And then serving him in various ways in his devotees. So by doing that, one can get what's called experiential realization. And then it's recommended for the bhakti yogi who's developing this kind of realization that to have an enlightened engagement with the world. Work in the world, Krishna says, but be enlightened about it. See why you're working there and what's the purpose of it. And then he says, you won't be touched by it. So everybody in this world acts according to their understanding. We can't do otherwise. So it's important to come to this standard that Krishna is talking about in the Bhagavad-gita of realizing who we are. We're Krishna's eternal servants. We're non-material entities. We're the Atma within the body. And we should see and deal with others in the same way, understanding that they're spiritual souls. Of course, as Prabhupada says in the Sri Upanishad, we shouldn't imitate the Uttama Adhikari. And however, we should, anupashyati, we should follow in the footsteps of those who understand this completely, and we should understand it through Shastra. And as much as possible, we should have pratyaksha, pratyaksha dharmam. We should actually realize it for ourselves, because only in that will we find a real satisfaction and a real enlightened way of living. And now we'll take a few questions or reflections. Here's Vaikuntha Nayaka coming all the way from Mysore. He says, do samskars, impressions, and conditioning all mean the same thing? Yes. So there are a couple terms that Patanjali uses in his Yoga Sutras. The vrittis, which really, the root word of it means turning. So turning and churning. There's ways in which the mind is always turning around, always like, I like to eat something one week and this is the best thing I ever had. And then something changes and I say, I don't like it anymore. People, they get together and they say, I love you. And then, 2 years later, 10 years later, 22 years later, they say, I hate you now. And I never want to see you again. These are all the churnings of the mind. In any case, a samskar is an impression. It's very subtle and it's left in the mind, and the vrittis are also a kind of impression. And perhaps the samskars are described as being a little deeper. But the fact is, we've accumulated unlimited numbers of impressions that are left. Whenever we have an interaction with the world, it leaves a little photograph in our mind. I mean, look through your hard drive just in this lifetime and see how many little things you've got there. There's a record down at Facebook of everything that you've ever looked at. Probably the government has it too. And imagine that times a trillion, and then towards times trillions of lifetimes. And you can see how many impressions are there within the mind. And when a baby's born, people that don't have knowledge think that, you know, it's a clean slate, but actually even the baby is dreaming inside the womb, and in a very simple way. And then later, as it develops and the brain develops, there's a much more recognition of all these samskars, and they start to manifest in one's predisposition towards certain kinds of things. In fact, one may think I'm acting freely. And Krishna says this in the Gita, Prakrite kriyamana nigune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. Person thinks I'm free, I'm doing all these things, I'm choosing what I like, but actually you're not. You're being dictated to by your mind, telling you, take this, take that, based on the kind of samskars that you've developed over a long period of time. So there's not a huge difference made in the Yoga Sutras about samskars and vrittis. They both have their effect on the mind, and they're described to be like a print, a little print of the activity is left whenever we have an interaction with the world. Yes?
Sorry about Prabhu. This is Sadhu Vrindavan Das.
That is.
Yeah. So many people have heard the Jamila story of how he first went to the devotee of the Lord, and then he became a materialist because of a prostitute. So people may think, and then he chanted after, when he was on his deathbed, he chanted the name Narayana, and then the Vishnu Dutas came. So many people might think that, you know, I will do all like materialistic stuff now, but when I'm on my deathbed, I'll just chant Narayana. So I don't get it, like how people may think that I'll do materialistic stuff and then I'll chant Narayana, and then the Vishnu Dutas will come, so I can enjoy my life here, and then I can on my deathbed I'll just chant Narayana and the Vishnu Dutas will come. How I didn't get that.
You didn't get what? Why people think that, or what's the difference?
How why no, because I didn't get the why the Vishnu Dutas came. I mean, they came because he chanted Narayana, but how people might think that. So how do you how will you know?
Well, there's a couple points, Sadhu, and that is those are that the quality of the chanting, it makes a difference. And the way that Jamil chanted was innocent. He was calling his son. And he wasn't chanting because he had a sinful life and then he thought, well, let me get rid of all these sins, so I'll chant. That's nama aparadha. And this effect isn't the same at all as what happened with Ajamil, because Ajamil in his earlier life had been a dutiful Brahmin. He had cultivated devotional service as well. So he had those impressions there already, an inclination. And then when he fell down due to these retrograde kind of samskars and interaction with the modes of material nature, then it was an innocent way in which he was calling out. He was actually calling for his son, not for Narayan. But it was because of his association with devotional service earlier on that he called his son Narayan in the first place. So that's one thing. And another thing is that it's one thing to say that I'll just wait till the end. But anyone who's been in school knows if you wait till the end to practice, to write your essay the night before, it doesn't work out too well. Or just say, I'll wait till an hour before I take my final exam. I'll wait till I 5 minutes before I take the SATs. I mean, death is harder than the SATs, way harder. And if I waited 5 minutes before I took SATs, how well would I do? So people can say so many things out of arrogance that I'll do this and I'll do that. But actually, we should be humble and understand that we're really at the mercy of the Lord. And we should be fully absorbed in him as soon as possible. In fact, that's something that Prahlad said, Komara acharat pragno dharmam bhagavatamiha durlabam manushan janma tadapya dhruvam artadam. He said, it's very valuable human form of life. He said, but don't wait. Start to practice as soon as you're a child, as soon as you understand that I have this opportunity. You're right if you understand that this is a valuable opportunity and I should use it. These arrogant people who say, I'll wait till later, it doesn't matter, and things like that, they don't do that well. It doesn't work out. So practice when you have the full consciousness and you can really put your heart into it. And if you're lucky enough to start when you're young and really get some momentum and keep going through, if you can make it through your teenage years, oh my God. I mean, it's so powerful because generally most people get swept away in their teenage years. They just somehow or other, they just become stupid and they start thinking that they have to show off for the opposite sex and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. But if you can keep your senses regulated, you don't have to be an austere yogi, but if you're sensible and regulate yourself and you stay engaged in devotional service until, you're past the hormonal, hurricanes, you can become an acharya or something like that because it's so valuable from the time you're 16, 17, all the way through 28, 30. You stay connected to Krishna consciousness, and then, you take some huge responsibilities. Thanks, Sadhu. Let's see what else we got here. Apara Gorangi. Shraddha, do you mind if I'm reading this or do you want to read them?
Oh, no, Maharaj, this is good.
I don't want to steal any service here. Okay, she said, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mine to you. I like the point how the devotional impressions have the power to overwrite material samskars. Also the phrase wisdom impressions. Yeah, wisdom samskars. Wisdom samskars. Yeah, so there's something you can do about it. It's not that we're just helpless and, the mind the way it is, we got it, we can leave it that way. You can change it. You can overwrite those things. And that's the practice of devotional service, especially working for Krishna, reading, studying the Shastra and hearing it. Very important and powerful. It has to be done every day. A nityam bhagavata sevaya means at least once a day you have to overwrite. And then japa. These are three things even Patanjali mentions in his section on Kriya Yoga. He said, because most people can't perform meditation because the mind's too agitated. You'll sit down, you'll just get right back up again. You sit down and you start to meditate and you'll think, I got 50 emails I got to write. I can't do this now. There's so many things going on. The mind is spinning. So through the practice of bhakti, this practice that's been given to us by Srila Prabhupada through Rupa Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it works. It actually cleans the heart. Chaito Dharma Marjanam, the Sankirtan and the working for Krishna. Prabhupada gave us this way in which we can work for Krishna by spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. I've watched here at ISV, there are devotees here who are so qualified, they could start their own empires, and some of them, are doing that on the side. But they put all their intelligence and their physical stamina into spreading Krishna consciousness. Meanwhile, we're all growing old. And if you do that throughout your lifetime and you chant Hare Krishna and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, there'll come a time when it becomes really easy to sit and hear, and that's all you want to do. And that's what Kapila Dev says is the sign that you've made it in bhakti. Madguna shruti matrena mai sarva guhashayo guhashaye manogatira vichina yata gangam bason budao. He says when you start to hear and it really attracts your mind, it means that your mind's lower samskaras have been overwritten by the bhakti samskaras, and now you're developing this attraction for them. And there's a purification that's noticeable. Okay, what else do we have?
But we have some questions and comments on Facebook.
Oh, really? Our Facebook. That's wonderful. My obeisance to everybody on Facebook.
And Maharaj, before we go there, I also wanted to add that I also like the term terminator samskaras. Terminator samskaras.
That was from Advaita, who wrote this fantastic commentary. I'm halfway through. It's a huge, very dense scholarly work. This Yoga Sutras by Edwin Bryan is Advaita, but he's brilliant. Yes.
So Maharaj, we have Divyanga Prabhu on the call on Facebook. Yes. And he's sharing the reflection, I am in the mouth of death.
That's right. That's from this prayer that Krishna tells we can say. It goes like this. First, Krishna says you can place your head at the feet of the deity, and then you can stand with folded hands before the Lord and pray, "O my Lord, please protect me, who am surrendered unto you. I am most fearful of this ocean of material existence, standing as I am in the mouth of death." You know, I heard Prabhupada say yesterday, he was talking about all the dangers of the world, and then he said, the devotees are cautious, but not fearful. So you just be careful and don't make Krishna do extra work by trying to come and save you. Okay, what else from Facebook?
There's one more question. I think you have answered parts of it. This is from Banshuli Das Prabhu from India. And his question is how to overcome the repeated strong urges of the mind to indulge in previously appreciated base material desires.
Well, the same way that you developed them in the first place. And that's described as a kind of a strong impression that becomes like an addiction. So every time I engage in a sense activity, it makes the impression there stronger. And when it becomes so strong that it overpowers my intelligence. So there's a way in which you'll notice if you keep doing something, some kind of sense gratificatory activity that's not recommended, then even if your intelligence decides that it's not a good idea anymore, like enough's enough, let's stop, you may not be able to do it because it's become so strong. So you have to go in the reverse order and little by little introduce these wisdom samskars and take your daily doses of japa and practicing Krishna consciousness by working for Krishna and so forth. And gradually, those things become overwritten. And there's a way that Krishna helps, because in the Bhagavatam, he says, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyan Taksto Hibadrani Vitu Noti Suritsatam. He said, I'm going to help you from within your heart. You do what you can to engage your senses in my service, and I'll work with you inside your heart to overwrite those bad samskars that have been developed.
Thank you, Maharaj. And Tadya Siva Prabhu wants to ask the question. He's on Zoom.
Maharaj, the three modes of, I have a question regarding the three modes of material nature.
Yes, Prabhu.
We start a day trying to be in mode of goodness. We try either reading Srimad Bhagavatam or, Bhagavad-gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita, or associating with devotees. And then we go into the society or we go into the workplace. And people may not be in the mode of goodness, but most likely people may be in the mode of passion and ignorance. And so even though we started with mode of goodness, we ended up in a place where mode of passion and ignorance is there. So are we aloof from the mode of passion and ignorance during that time, or we are into the mode of passion and ignorance during that time?
It depends on how you interact. So Prabhupada told a story about a monkey who made friendship with an alligator. And the monkey lived up in the tree, and the alligator was down below in the lake. And they struck up a conversation, even though they're mortal enemies, because crocodiles eat monkeys. And they became friends. And actually, the crocodile started to really like the monkey, said he's intelligent, really nice. And so then he said to the monkey, he said, you know, we're such good friends, you should come over to my house and, you know, visit my family and stuff. And the monkey said, yeah, I'll think about it. And then the crocodile went home and he told his wife, you know, I'm friends with a monkey. She said, you're friends with a what? And that's crazy. He said, yeah. And I invited him over, you know, to the house. And so I don't know if crocodiles live in houses, but they got some kind of little nest or something. And so his wife said to him, you know, yeah, bring him over, because there's one thing I've been hankering for is monkey heart. I'll eat his heart. And he'll come over for lunch, but we'll have him for lunch. And the crocodile didn't like that very much, but his wife insisted. So he went back to the monkey and he said, okay, he was a little reluctant, but he said, you could come over to my house for lunch now. So the monkey said, okay. And he jumped on the back of the crocodile and they got halfway across the lake. And the crocodile said, and you know what? I talked to my wife and actually you're going to be the lunch because she wants to eat your heart. And the monkey, being smarter than the crocodile, said, oh, well, you should have told me that in the first place because I left my heart back in the tree. So if you take me back there, I can get it and we'll bring it for the lunch. And the crocodile said, okay. So he took him back and the monkey jumped out, went into the tree, and of course never came back. And so the lesson in the story is that even though we have to mix with people who may be detrimental, don't expose your heart. So this is in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam. It says there, these are Narada's teachings to Yudhishthira. He didn't tell the monkey story, but he said, when a devotee is interacting with the outside world, with people who are not devotees, he said, you can be very cordial and official, and if they say this, that, the other thing, you say, yes, sir, very good, sir. But you don't put your heart into it. Because in order to do your job or whatever you have to do, you have to interact in various ways. But it's yes, sir, no, sir, very good, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And we don't put our heart into it. So leave your heart up in the tree, and then you can go here or there, but don't expose it. Okay, what else? There's Dhanavari said, would you please talk more about the Lord's lower energy, Maya? Well, you know, there's a story in the 12th canto, Markandeya Rishi. He was a very accomplished yogi, such a great soul. And it's such a, you know, it's a beautiful story. It's a little long to read the whole thing right now. How late do we go, Shraddha? Are we at 8 or 8?
8:30 today.
Okay, so yeah, Markandeya Rishi met the Lord face to face because of the power of his austerities and his devotion and his practices. And then the Lord offered him a benediction, and Markandeya Rishi said, I'd like to see your Maya. I want to see what the external energy is really all about. And the Lord wasn't so inclined to do this. And he had a smile on his face like, are you sure about this? This is not a good idea. But he fulfilled the desire of his devotee, so he disappeared, and Markandeya stayed in his ashram and he was meditating as usual. And then a huge storm came up, and that it pounded down water so hard that the floods started to come and it washed him away. And then for thousands of years, he was being tossed in the waves of like the causal ocean. It was so powerful. tossed here and there, practically drowning, tens of thousands of years. And then finally, he came to this opening in the ocean where he saw a small child lying on a banyan leaf. And the child was so beautiful that he couldn't keep his eyes away from him. He got closer and closer, and he saw that this little child was sucking on his own toe. Says Krishna, in appreciating himself. And then as soon as he got close enough to the child inhaled him, he went into his body, and then Markandeya Rishi came back out dry, and there he was in his ashram again. So this material energy is nothing to be, we shouldn't dabble in it. We shouldn't test it either. We should be very aware of the fact that it's very powerful. Prabhupada said when he was coming across on the Jaladuta, he said the ocean would be very placid, the weather cooperating, and then just a few hours later, a huge storm could come up. And he said, Maya's like that. At any time, things can completely switch and go the opposite direction. So the material energy is Krishna's energy, and it's really meant to reform our idea about being separate from Krishna and sensitize us in different ways. So that's something about Maya. And Shraddha said, go ahead, Tadiya Prabhu. That was already done. Okay.
Yeah.
Any more reflections or questions?
Maharaj, I was thinking about when you were talking about the wisdom sanskaras, and I was thinking about the computer model where in order to execute something, the instructions have to be loaded into the memory. And memory is not, like it's not infinite. So as you start loading newer instructions onto the computer, the older instructions can kind of fall off from the memory. I was just drawing a parallel on, how the wisdom sanskaras also push the old bad ones out of your system. Like that.
That's right. Yeah. That's overwriting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna read the next verse. And this is text number 30. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sa cha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Purport: a person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance, he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, and I just mentioned about that in conjunction with the point I made earlier about working for Krishna. One of the ways to work for Krishna is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. So Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion that when one advertises Krishna's glories and invites people to come and serve him, this is very pleasing to Krishna. Otherwise, why would he say in the Bhagavad-gita that there's no one more dear to me than this person who's doing this? And he similarly says that this is a way in which one develops friendship with Krishna. You go out and you teach others about Krishna and his qualities and how to worship him and so forth. And this is one of the ways in which you actually develop this relationship of friendship. You become Krishna's friend. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita 538. Premanjana chudita bhakti vilochanena santaksa daiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya guna swarupam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. We find that Kardama Muni was such a soft-hearted yogi. He meditated and pleased the Lord through his practices, and the Lord appeared to him. And it's mentioned in that section of the Bhagavatam that the Lord was so compassionate towards this devotee, Kardama, that a tear came to his eyes. And that formed that very sacred lake around where Kardama was meditating, that tear. And so I've always been touched by that, how compassionate the Lord is. And when he sees that you're trying to reach him, to contact him, then he helps in every single way that he can. And there's this intimate relationship that develops because the devotee starts to notice that Krishna is helping. And also the devotees notice so many things. First of all, or maybe it's not first chronologically, but here's the first point that came to my head. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam briti borvakam. When there's a loving way in which the devotee is trying to extend himself towards Krishna, which really starts by faith. And this faith is described in this purport when the devotee considers that Krishna is the all in all. I remember having these programs we were calling Bhakti Life, and lots of people would come because it was a spiritual program. And a lot of these people, they would go to a lot of programs. It was from meetup.com. It's a service. I don't know if it's still around, but you can put on the meetup. Well, it's not on right now, or maybe it's on Zoom. But there's a way that you tell what your program is, and then people who are interested can invite come to the program. So we have these spiritual programs, and I just noticed that people would go from one to the next. One this day, a different one the next day, and some people would say, "Oh, Krishna's, I like Krishna. He's interesting. He's nice. He's a thing." But then, if somebody develops faith, their language changes, and Krishna's the thing, not a thing. And so that's the devotee really develops this faith in Krishna, as Krishna says in the Gita, Ham sarvasya prabhavam matak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Everything's emanating from me. And the devotee who knows this worships me with all his heart. This is a clear indication of faith. First of all, it's a huge revelation to know that Krishna is a person. And there's a sense of gratitude that anywhere a yogi looks, he or she sees that, Krishna's intentionality is behind things. I was planting seeds today in my greenhouse, and I was taking a close look at the seeds. I got really nice seeds, and putting together the individual starter cups, to put them in. And each one looks so different. You take it out, put it in. I was thinking how Krishna says, Bijam mam sarva bhutaram. I'm the seed of all existence. I am these seeds. And I was thinking how brilliant it is. And of course, anyone can think that, it just came out of nowhere, or it's just an amorphous force. But when you think there's an intelligence behind it, and there's a benevolence behind it too, that's what I was thinking today. I was thinking, you take one tiny little seed. I planted some marigold seeds, and I'm only putting one per hole because these are good seeds. I know they're going to grow. And I was thinking, inside this little sliver is a whole plant that can produce many more. And so I was thinking that, hey, you could live off this. Krishna's giving everything that you need to survive everywhere. There's water, there's air, there's light, and then you just plant a few seeds, put a little roof over your head, and you've got everything you need. There's a person behind that. So then the devotee notices that if I try to approach Krishna, sincerely try, then Krishna gives me intelligence in the heart. And he also makes external arrangements so that I can advance. As Mahaprabhu said, Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. If you try this experiment, you take the next 3 days and you just sincerely pray all day long for the next 3 days. Why not? We're not doing anything else, right? For the next 3 days, just pray and chant, Krishna, please reveal yourself to me. Please show me the way. Please show me the next steps. Please show me how to overcome my bad habits. I guarantee you, you're going to change your life in 3 days. Just by doing that. Chitraketu Maharaj, she was so convinced by his experience that he got with his child dying and the whole thing. And then he met his guru and he got the mantra and he just put his whole heart into it. Within a week, he was directly seeing Shankarshan. So the intensity of our practice, and by the way, it just came to my mind, that's in the Yoga Sutras also, the way that you advance has to do with the intensity of your practice. Krishna's there. He's there within the heart, and he'll reciprocate. And devotees feel that, and they start to develop this real sweet relationship with Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, I had a question.
Oh, yeah.
Maharaj, I wanted to ask you, I was hearing recently about this concept of fasting along with prayer.
Fasting along with what?
With prayer. Fast
yeah.
and pray. A lot of Christian traditions have that if you really need, deep advice, and if it's a very strong prayer, you fast and pray, and you will get guidance. And I was thinking about that. I couldn't find any proper Shastric reference in our culture that we fast and pray. Do we fast and pray when the need is very strong, or if we need real guidance?
Yeah, we fast on Ekadashi and we chant all day long.
But like I'm in trouble and I really need guidance and I'm praying, does fasting help? What is the concept, Guru Maharaj?
No, the concept is really that it takes a lot of time and energy to eat. You got to cook it. You got to decide where you're going to buy it, especially nowadays. You got to buy the boga. You got to cook it. You got to offer it. Then you got to serve it. Then you got to digest it. Good. You got to eat it, which I don't mind. Then, digestion, elimination. You got to take a nap and so forth. And when you fast, then you don't have to do any of that. It's amazing how much time you get when you fast. I'm amazed. I'm always amazed on Ekadashi. I just don't eat. And then it's like, wow, I wish I could do this every day. Actually, I don't think like that. I like taking prasadam. It's the happiest time of my life, every day, every meal. But fasting is because, we do it to recognize certain days that we're going to give full devotion on these days to Krishna, and you just get more time.
Thank you.
But as far as fasting to get into some kind of altered state, we don't have that so much. That's comes from other traditions. And also you have to be careful about fasting because you can become more bodily conscious doing some stuff like that as well. Of course, for health, you can cut way back. Prabhupada used to say there are not very many diseases that you get from eating too less. He said most come from eating more, eating too much. So.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, sure.
So Maharaj, then our focus should more be like if we are fasting, it should be that we are undergoing this austerity to, again, root out some of the old and bad samskaras, like maybe overeating and things like that, and not use it as a means to achieve something. Right?
Well, the best thing to do is offer to Krishna and just say, Krishna, I'm doing this for you. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, whatever austerities you perform, do it as an offering to me. It's so sweet, actually. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wouldn't take anything unless it was offered to the deity. That includes clothes and, everything come in as an offering to the deity. And so if we do some austerity, it's like, Krishna, I'm doing this for you. And, Krishna doesn't even like his devotees to do such things so much. That's why Madhavendra Puri, he was just so humble that he didn't ask anybody for anything. It wasn't like he was, trying to wrench his senses out of their sockets, by fasting all the time, but he was just too humble. So he'd go to a place and he didn't even beg. He'd just sit down and chant. And he felt like, why do I deserve anything? And if Krishna, then, when he was sitting in Vrindavan, Krishna came along and he brought him a pot of milk and he said, here, drink this. He said, how'd you know I was here? And he said, the village ladies told me. And, then the boy disappeared. He drank the milk. He had a little dream. And then he realized that boy was Krishna. And then he was telling him, I'm in the bushes. I was buried here with the Mughal invasion and, come get me. And so, the fasting of Madhavendra Puri, it's very sweet, it's just, otherwise, we take prasadam because that's, we offer to Krishna, we take the prasadam, but we should be yukta. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little. But we could fast like isn't it ecstatic fasting on Janmashtami? We all do it together. We're working all day long. At the end of the day, you just feel like, hey, I offered it to Krishna. It feels good. All these things add up also, they add up.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Sure.
Hare Krishna.
Reflections. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, this SKP here.
Hey, SKP's on the line. It's a big name.
Prabhuji, it reminded me like Srila Prabhupada in, I think, Krishna Balram temple, Prabhu. He said, those who are not coming for Mangal Arati, don't give him prasadam. then Prabhupada, they are sick, Prabhupada, they are sick. Then sick means they have to fast. So that it reminded me that, Prabhu. You said the fasting, it helps.
Here, you'll like this one, SKP. There's a recording, Prabhupada says, so he tells how in rich Indian families, because the way the conversation was going, he was telling how if you're a yogi in your last life, you get an opportunity to be born in a wealthy family. And he said in India, wealthy families, they keep a deity. And so your whole life is centered around deity worship. They have their own temple room, And so then he said, he's seen in many families, aristocratic families, and then the mother of the family, she would, she would take the attendance to see who's coming to Mangal Artik in the family. And then if you didn't come, you'd have to fast or pay some penalty. So he said, for us, if you miss Mangal Artik, he said, then you have to sell one Krishna book.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, just see how Prabhupada thought.
Wow.
But Prabhupada he didn't push these austerities so heavily. Unnecessary austerities. The main like even once they said, we need to fast on your appearance day, before the initiation. Oh, it was an initiation day. Do we have to fast? Prabhupada said, you're already fasting. You don't eat meat, fish, or eggs. I mean, we forget. I guys walking around our neighborhood today because we have to take walks a few times a day so we can, keep our stamina going here. And, I just noticed around the neighborhood, maybe for the first time after 32 years of living here, that there's other people here, and that and their lifestyle is very different from ours. And it's like our devotee lifestyle it's very different. I mean, we only eat the best things because we're offering them to Krishna. We offer everything before we eat it, and we get up early in the morning, and these are just things we're used to. We like doing. We couldn't live without them, and that's considered severe austerity to most people. Near Kula, I would go 2 walks a day. In the afternoon walk, I saw a guy running around in his pajamas. And sure enough, people, they're in all day in their pajamas. Some people, they don't go to bed until 2 in the morning, and then they sleep all day.
Yes.
So, if you just follow tat karma pravartana, the various activities that the acharyas set up, it's sublime. The light comes into your life. Your heart becomes satisfied. I mean, what could be more satisfying than taking a little time early in the morning before the sun comes up to read the Bhagavad-gita? You're sitting there with Krishna, and he's speaking directly to you in a loving way, just to instruct you. And your mind and senses, they become just there's this ray of transcendence. It just comes into the mind and heart, and you feel happy. Then if you offer some incense to the deities, you can hear the bell ringing, and somebody's in cooking for Krishna. And all these things are going on. And I mean, our senses are just overwhelmed with happiness because of being with Krishna. And who doesn't want to be with Krishna? If you're not with Krishna, you're a loser. Because, Krishna's he's the center of all attention for everybody. And anything that we see that's good in the world, it's coming from him anyway. He created it. So this whole lifestyle of Krishna consciousness is very beautiful. There was another one. Someone was about to get in. Yeah.
Ankita has also posted a reflection on the chat message.
Oh, how nice, Ankita. So let's see. Hare Krishna. Please accept my most humble obeisance. Mine to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the beautiful lecture. Prayers reminded me the fact that Krishna is known as Uttama Shloka, which means one who is praised with beautiful prayers. Yeah, there's nothing like Bhagavatam. We need that. Prabhupada points that out when he speaks about the needs of the human being. We need refined philosophy, art. We need music. These things satisfy the soul, and all comes from Krishna consciousness. It's a cultural process, and it purifies all the senses. Sarvopati vinirmuktam tatprapvena nirmalam. It lets the light into the senses if you just engage them in Krishna service. Sing, dance, feast. I used to, before I joined the movement, I used to do all these crazy fasts and everything like that. Gave away all my stuff. I wouldn't, wear shoes in the freezing cold. I thought that, and then I was just eating a little bit. And when I got to the temple, I was skinny as a rail. And actually, I saw before I came there, although I wasn't fully convinced until like about a weekend about this eating thing, but it said chant, dance, and feast. And I had to admit, it caught my mind. This sounds better, much better than fasting and stuff like that. And then when I got there, they said, no, you got to take prasadam. And I still remember these samskars from walking into the temple are still there. First day, how clean it was. I mean, that's why it's so important to have clean temple. You got to clean every corner. It should smell clean. The incense, I smelled the incense. And then the prasadam. And then they had water. Deity water was there it still had water, flower petals in it. And they said, drink this, smell that, And those are the things that, that for bhakti yogis, those are the samskars. And all you have to do is live around Krishna, because that's what he does every day. He's into all the best stuff.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hey, good to see you. I love the backdrop.
That's Ujjwala's background. Yeah. Now, Maharaj, a quick question talking about austerity. So what should be our, mindset, or why should we do? So, I mean, why whenever we do some austerity, especially let's say we go on a dham, then sometimes we do a little more than our capacity in terms of austerity. Now, so what should be our mood of those austerities? We're not limited to dham, of course, even otherwise.
Well, one way to think about it, Prabhu, is to think about following in the footsteps of the great souls. So when you go to the Dham, you find out, what did Prabhupada do when he came to the Dham? What did others in our line do? And of course, following in the footsteps, meaning doing what you can do accordingly. Because Dhruva Maharaj, he's, we can't imitate him, but Prabhupada says you can follow in his footsteps. So let's say you go to the Dham, and there's some austerities that you can do when you get there. Like one of the austerities, as soon as you get to the Dham, you should roll on the ground in the dust of Vrindavan. So, you might just go like, ew, like, I don't know. You have to overcome the mind and just roll in the dust and, experience that. And then when you first get there, you can do some fast and you should take a bath. Of course, like the Jamuna became really polluted, and then even sadhus weren't going in because they're pouring chemicals in, upstream. So then, you wouldn't do the austerity and say like, oh, I have to go in anyway, even though other sadhus aren't going in right now, and do that kind of thing. Main kind of austerity really is if you come with a service attitude and think, what kind of service can I do? And how can I take advantage of hearing? Organize your schedule around that so you can be there and hear. That's what mostly is what you should do in the Dham, is hear from advanced personalities, because advanced personalities like the Dham and they spend a lot of time there. And if you can find somebody like that and then you go and hear, that's the best austerity.
Okay.
Prabhupada didn't wear shoes on Govardhan Parikram and things like that. It was a morning walk. I was on it in Vrindavan. And we were walking along back around the Vrindavan temple that was very rustic at that time. There were no shops or anything like that. You walk away from Krishna Balaram and you're out in the country kind of. And so Prabhupada went off the road. There was only that one road coming into the temple. And we went off, and there was a devotee, Yashodananda Swami. He was there and he had bare feet. And there were thorns, and he kept stepping on thorns and kind of jumping. And he was trying, to be unnoticeable, not be noticed. And so, but Prabhupada noticed it. And then he said, where are your shoes? And he said, oh, I don't need shoes, Prabhupada. I didn't bring them. And Prabhupada said, no, you're walking in there, you're pricking your feet. And he said, Prabhupada, to be with you, it is all right. And Prabhupada said, it is in no way all right. He was concerned, he didn't want him pricking his feet. So Prabhupada wasn't into this macho thing where, just, do as many austerities, prick your feet, and all this kind of stuff. He wanted devotees to be healthy and take care of themselves. Austerities, fasting on Ekadashi as much as you can, but he didn't push that. He never really pushed staying up all night, chanting, all night and not sleeping and things like that. Of course, Prabhupada didn't sleep, but he was a Paramahamsa. At that stage of his life, he was just not sleeping at all. And but he didn't tell us in that way. The main austerity that Prabhupada told us to do is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. Chant at least 16 rounds and follow the 4 regular principles. And that was his mood. If you do that, then you're going to be good. Shraddha, what do you got?
I've got a gem from Anand Vrindavan Mataji.
Oh, good.
She's saying that this discussion reminds me of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sukdev Goswami says it is essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord always and everywhere. That's 2.2.36.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's the system. That's the main austerity. And if you concentrate on the big ticket items, like hearing and chanting, then everything else comes naturally after that. Was that okay, Mayapur? Did I disappoint you with, I should have told you to do more severe austerities in the Dham or what?
No, that was good. I mean, thank you,
You know, we
Maharaj.
should go there in a mood of service. So if you go to the Dham and, you know, somebody gives you a little cot to sleep on or the floor or whatever, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, you take because we're not there to enjoy. You know, I see hoardings there in Vrindavan, like live here like a king, you know, live here like a king in the king's kingdom or something. They have these things and they have a picture of man and woman enjoying by a swimming pool. It's Vrindavan. You know, we don't go there for that kind of thing. So the austerity for devotees is to think about service. I don't want to go there and get a swimming pool. And I mean, no offense to anybody who has a swimming pool. I'm sure they, you know, some devotees had them in the summer, they swim in them. But the point is, it's the mood. Don't go to the Dham, rather go to the Dham in a serving mood. And then the austerities will become natural. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
There are two more reflections from Facebook, Maharaj. One is from Havi Prabhu.
Havi's famous. Okay. In both worlds, spiritual and material. Go ahead.
So he's sharing, live around Krishna.
Yeah. If you just stay around Krishna, it's like you get the Raj Bhog. I mean, nobody eats like Krishna. The Raj Bhog, it's properly named, the Raj Bhog. You offer that to Krishna. You know, every day he's eating these. Of course, I don't recommend eating it every day either, but you know, you can take little remnants from that. It's so nice. What else, Shraddha?
And we have Vansuli Das Prabhu again. He says, he's sharing your comment that Krishna is the thing and not a thing.
Yeah, just make Krishna the thing. And the first thing when you wake up in the morning, you acknowledge Krishna, you know, say Jayati Jana Nivaso Devaki Janmavaro Yadavara Parishat Swara Dorvira Sanadharmam Stirachara Vijinana Susmita Shimukena Rajapura Vanitanam Vardayan Kamadevam. Should memorize that verse and then keep it with you when you wake up in the morning and say it right away. And remember, this is something that Satyadev Prabhu told me about. He said, when he gets up, first thing he does, he walks to a picture of Prabhupada and he folds his hand and says, thank you very much. And if you try that, just try it. Go to a picture of your guru and then go to, I have Prabhupada here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. I have the acharyas and I have my a picture of Krishna that I, you know, anyway, it's here, my picture. And, you know, I go around to each one of them. I just said, thank you very much. Try it. I started doing it about 1.5 years ago, and it's amazing how, that's what I was talking about earlier, how Krishna reciprocates. If you just go to a picture of Krishna and you go like this and you say, Krishna, thank you very much, your whole life will change in 5 seconds. And you'll just reciprocate in your heart, and your whole, you know, you'll feel happy for thanking Krishna. That's how nice he is. What else, Shraddha?
And I was just thinking that it's such a nice way to start the day with a sense of gratitude. And yeah. I remembered once I stayed with Hansapriya Mataji overnight, and the next morning when I got up, she was doing that. She was going around all the pictures and she was thanking.
Yeah, see, these are bhakti habits. Yeah. She has bhakti habits from the time she was a child. Yeah. And then you see it actually comes out in the personality because the person's been doing that their whole life. So Prabhupada writes in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, it's never too late to develop bhakti habits. The earlier you start, the better. If you go through your childhood and especially your teenage years and you keep these bhakti habits, you'll be shot from a cannon all the way back to Godhead, like fast. But even if you start later in life, you can develop these bhakti habits by just appreciating Krishna and doing service for him and his devotees, and your life will be saved.
Radha chatting with you on the chat.
Radha Kripa Prabhu has said, please set my humble obeisances mine to you. All good Srila Prabhupada felt as if we're already in Vrindavan. Well, that's what Lord Chaitanya said, that you should always live in Vrindavan. And if you can't be there physically, then you should live there within your mind. Always keep Vrindavan in your mind. And Vrindavan means service. If you're always thinking how to do service, then you for Krishna, for the Krishna's devotees, then you'll be happy and you'll be in Vrindavan, because that's what Vrindavan is. Everyone there is thinking how to serve. Okay.
Prabhuji, it's also reminded me one time. I think you told me, like, Achaman cup, Prabhu, to keep clean the Achaman cup, like Pancharatrika Vidhi. Like, means from there, whenever I clean my deity paraphernalia, that stuck to my mind, Prabhu, that Pancharatrika Vidhi you told.
It's so
Keep
true, isn't it?
Yes,
It's so
Prabhu.
true. You know, there was somewhere I was visiting where I went for the Tulsi Puja, and I saw the Achman cup, and it was copper, and it was polished so nicely that it was shining.
Right.
And just from seeing that, that was an udipana. From seeing that one Achman cup shining like that, my mind, sattva guna went shooting through my mind and my heart and everything. And I was able to, have a semblance of connection there with the spiritual world just because of seeing the Achman cup. So the Panchratrik Vidhi is really powerful. If you just do a little simple puja, like polish your Achman cup and offer some Tulsi leaves to Krishna every day, just going out to pick Tulsi for the Lord, that in and of itself, what better austerity is that? To maintain a Tulsi plant, and then you go out and you take a few, manjaris back, and then you offer them to Krishna on his lotus feet. You can't beat that. That's the topmost yoga system. And that's the kind of austerity we should do.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, thank you, SKP. It's so good to see you. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining in. And great to see devotees from all over the creation. And please take care of yourselves. Be cautious, but not afraid. And keep the bhakti habits going, because this is just a little launching pad we're on right now. This Earth planet's the perfect place to launch from. We're right in the middle. We're right at the ground floor where you can make it out of the material world. Anybody want to go? Vantika's hand went right up. Okay, Namrata, thank you. Yeah, so we can go. Krishna says, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitran Yanti Pratir Vrata Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Yanti Mam Yajino Pimam Yanti Mam Yajino. You can come to me, he said. You can come to me. Just put your attention there and you'll go, because where attention goes, energy flows. So worship Krishna's lotus feet and chant his names and think of him all the time. Put the form of the Lord in your mind, and then keep the mantra going, and do what service you can. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj,
Yes, Prabhu?
today is SKP Prabhu's birthday, Maharaj.
Really? Now that is big news. SKP, you're holding out on us. It's your birthday today?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, he was also initiated on this day, right?
It's his initiation day and his birthday. Well, I'd like to say, SKP, that I remember when you came to ISV, and then it was just weeks or maybe even a month later, I can't remember the time period, that you found out you had to go back to India. And you were so into doing service to spread Krishna consciousness in the West that I remember tears were streaming down your face. I'll never forget that. And then you went back to India, and I was really morose. And then all of a sudden you were back because your desire was so strong, and you came back, and you never left. And then I also remember when you and Malini stepped up to become the co-Sankirtan leaders of the Sankirtan party, and you've done something that has been a shot heard around the world, working for the book distribution. Your dedication to cows is legendary, and I feel very fortunate to be connected with you and your family. Not the least of which is Sri Ram, your brother. I mean, I haven't been to your family home or anything like that, but I can see that it's it was an ashram, the way you came out. So on this day of your birthday, I pray to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to empower you more and more to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, to increase the numbers of Srimad Bhagavatams and all of Prabhupada's books, and the number of cows being protected all over the planet.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
But I also wanted to mention that just 3 hours ahead of Radhakripa Prabhu's birthday also.
Oh, ja.
3 hours before Radhakripa's birthday?
Yeah, his birthday is tomorrow, like midnight it starts, 16th of April.
Oh, really? All right, well, let's sing for both of them then. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhavescha patitan pavanebhyo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, and look forward to seeing you soon. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Because of your prayers, I came back to ISKCON.
Oh, yeah. We just have to do a short kirtan. So.
Thank you.
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatyanishatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasari Gaur Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Jai. Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Jai
Thank you so
devotees.
much.
Yeah, I'm going to end the meeting now because I'm already late for another meeting. So we'll see you
Okay.
again on Saturday, if not sooner.
Hare